So for people who have watched me on Twitch, you'll know that in the past I may have made fun out of top-down games once or twice. In fact, I went on such a drunken rant once when watching the Diablo 2 Resurrected trailer on Scotty J's stream that he had to mute me when we were covering BlizzCon 2021. And rather embarrassingly, the more I play Diablo 4, the more I just kind of get it. I honestly have to admit that now that the beta is down, I have an insatiable itch to play the game, because it is very fun, satisfying and addictive. So much that in fact I am going to have to play another top-down game or ARPG while we wait for the release. Let me tell you what I do like about the game and the things that I don't like and certain worries I have for the official release, and by the way this will be entirely spoiler free. So when you boot Diablo, you are presented with an exciting cinematic of some adventurers trying to open some kind of gateway while fighting off hordes of demons. And I don't want to spoil what happens once the characters are inside, but what happens inside can only be explained as one of the most perfect ways to introduce narrative in my humble opinion. And that is to begin with the antagonist. Many good films and books start with the bad guy doing some fucked up stuff. For the fleshling Diablo player, this opening cinematic perfectly illustrates a dark and disturbing atmosphere, instilling a very uncomfortable state of mind within the gamer, and this sets the tone of what you're going to expect down the line. The first major plot point of the narrative has a genuinely unexpected twist, very atypical of what you'd expect from an RPG, because most RPGs are fairly basic, let's be honest. I mean, not all of them, but normally it's, you're a good guy, and you run around the world exploring, making friends to defeat some big bad guy. But in Diablo 4, it's very different. The world is not a utopian high fantasy environment like most RPG players are used to. This is a crepuscular and unforgiving world where there's just not many friendly people, to say the least. Everyone's a bit of a knobhead, to be honest. I mean, they would rather sacrifice and eat you alive than give you a quest. And I think this is why I'm liking it so much, because I'm quite frankly tired of cliches. Hogwarts Legacy, as much as that was a good game, for protagonist and story, it wasn't very original. It was a 101 cliche, in my humble opinion. It felt very Dragonborn-y, if you get what I mean. But so far, my experience of Diablo has not made me cringe at the storyline, especially as the voice acting is god tier. I admittedly have an affinity with dark stories and dark areas of history, so I'm probably going to enjoy Diablo 4's genre characteristics more than the average person. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you're a bit messed up like me, you're really going to enjoy Diablo 4's story. There are also side quests to make the player not feel pigeonholed into soullessly just following the main storyline. I took a grand 4-hour break away from the main storyline to just do side quests and other activities, because there are volumes of alternative activities to do other than the main story. Side quests, like I mentioned, appear as a blue exclamation mark on the map, which will normally give you small activities to do, but sometimes end with a bit of a boss battle. I am yet to experience, however, a side quest that is a long chain quest, like something you would expect in a game like Skyrim, like the Wolf Queen Awakened questline. There's also events similar to World of Warcraft world quests, where you normally accidentally discover these while exploring the world. It could be a boss battle, or you have to survive hordes of enemies for a certain period of time. They reward currency and a big chunk of XP, and are repeatable, plus other players in the open world can help you with them. I think this is a great way to make the open world interesting and reward you for your exploration. There's also a lot of dungeons that are not linked to any quests. Round about level 10 is when you start discovering them, and it's going to take you a while before you run out of these dungeons to do, because there are so many. And because the dungeons are randomised, even if you go back to do the same dungeon, it's going to feel a little bit different. These normally end with a very fun boss battle, which will always be a decent challenge, and then reward you with the best loot that me personally so far has found in the game. What's kind of weird to me is that I'm level 16 and I'm already finding legendary gear. And I guess that's just how Diablo does loot, because, this is very weird for my MMO peanut brain. Because loot is very easy to get. There's loads of great loot that you can get early on in the game. There's a lot of the loot, and also it is very randomised. So you are going to spend a lot of time staring at your character screen comparing gear pieces to work out which is best to equip. There's also quite a lot of different stats in the game that you are going to have to get a grasp of. By the way guys, I've been working with some Diablo 4 big brains to get the best builds for every single class in the game for my new subscriber only video, so that I have something to give back to the community for subscribing. If you want to check that out, all you have to do is subscribe and go to my channel page. If you can't see the video there, just leave a little message on the Discord and I'll sort you out. On the first beta I tried out the Sorcerer, but I'm so glad that I re-rolled to play the Necromancer on the second beta, because the Necromancer and me are like Blizzard and lawsuits. They're just meant to be together. The Necromancer feels a lot like playing a Blood Death Knight, and a little bit of Warlock mixed in there as well. That's with my current build anyway, there's so many different builds that you can go for. The Necromancer can wield plate gear, scythes and some one-handed weapons, and even shields and even wands apparently. They're pretty beefy and have a lot of health draining abilities. I've basically gone for every single ability that has some kind of health draining effect, and I'm glad I did, because now I'm an absolute invincible beefcake. I'm like a weeble, I wobble, but I never fall down. You know, random fun fact, that was actually my dad's nickname at school. My nickname was actually Bird, because my stepmom bleached my hair and gave me frosted tips, made me look like I was in some 90s boy band about to disappear from existence and only ever appear once again on shows like Strictly Come Dancing. I actually managed to find some really bad photo evidence of this from 2009 for your entertainment. But anyway, what are we doing again? Oh yeah, Diablo 4 review. So what I'm liking about the class design in Diablo is its complexity. I think at first it'd be quite... let's try that again. I think at first it can be quite overwhelming and difficult to understand. But honestly, if you give it a little time, it's not that difficult. You just need to give it a little bit of patience. You see, I'm also weird in the way that I like a moderate intellectual challenge in the video games that I play, especially when it comes to character progression, because it feels more rewarding in the long run. There's just something about looking at your talents, gear and abilities and working out a strong build for your character, setting it all up and then going to, you know, own some demons of the open world with a new build, because it feels like you're being rewarded for your own intellect and strategic mind. If you're one of those guys who liked playing weird cross specs, hybrid specs or meme specs in World of Warcraft, Diablo 4 is going to give you more freedom and customizability to fulfill whatever class fantasy you want to achieve. It definitely ticks that box. You have many talents to customize, and exclusive to the Necromancer there's a separate system similar to the talent system where you can customize the power and utility of your minions, or alternatively just sacrifice all of your minions to make your character more powerful. What I like about it is you don't just have one pet, you can actually have a whole skeleton army following you around. Now what don't I like about the game? Honestly, so far I don't have much to complain about when it comes to the game itself. It was, however, a little irritating when I disconnected at the end of a dungeon just before the boss, and then when I logged back in I'd been ported back to the town and I had to do it all over again. And this seems to be happening all the time, even if I just want to do a simple relog when I'm in the open world. Hopefully this is just a bug and it will be fixed in the future, because yes, that is very irritating. Because it was a big problem on the beta, because the servers were going down a lot. Now this obviously was a beta, so you can expect a level of instability and a lack of polish because the game isn't ready. It's not ready for release, it's not a finished product. But the stability issues were very bad. Sometimes just leaving a town going into the open world would get you stuck. In the open world the game just seems to lag every 5 seconds, but I did manage to make this a bit smoother with the software exit lag. And I did frequently get disconnected and put to the back of server queues. You know, sometimes before I'd even got into the game, it would disconnect and put me at the back of a 2-hour queue. I guess, you know, just because it's a beta test and you can expect a little bit of this. There will be things in-game that people are doing that make the server unstable, that need to be bug fixed, and the servers will probably just not ready to support the player count. I guess we just have to hope that all of these issues will be refined by the time the game is released, because in my opinion, 2 weekend beta tests just isn't enough if the game was that unstable. Blizzard should seriously consider doing some more weekend beta tests before the official release. Because I'm just obviously a little bit worried that the launch will be very unstable and unplayable, which can be enough to deter players very long term and make people really feel like they've been ripped off for paying more money to play the game early when it's not ready. Hopefully this won't happen and we don't enter another phase of mass refund requests that, you know, got denied by Blizzard, like the hilarious Warcraft 3 remastered launch. Because honestly, I did not experience massive, frequent in-game bugs. To be honest, I can't remember any bug actually happening from my personal experience. I think a lot of it probably just was server-side issues. By the way, guys, just before I go, I do actually have an Instagram. If you want to check me out on there, it's just Charlie MetaGoblin. Anyway, ciao.